Okay, is it okay if I just do a very quick review of what I just covered again? Because I seem to have lost my recording from earlier, okay? So please bear with me. Okay, so today we are going to do this composition based off of the theme Overcoming Fear. I have already outlined that this is the theme. I highlight it first. Then I circle a picture that I choose. In this case, the second picture was voted on by everybody. Then I link the picture both to the theme, which is overcoming fear, as well as to the story mountain that I construct below the picture. Okay, in this story mountain, I'm going to cover the 5 main points of introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, and conclusion. The introduction is going to include the who, what, when, where, why, and how. In this case, it's going to happen in school because in picture 2, the students appear to be in school uniform. And it's going to be involving me. I'm going to be the main character of the story. Oh, I'm sorry, not me anymore. It's going to be Kayla because we decided that Kayla was the main character of our story, right? And it's going to be about an event that Kayla takes part in, okay? And then over here in the rising action, I'm going to define the problem as agoraphobia or stage fright, okay? And how do I overcome this problem? It's got to get worse first, right? So I'm going to be on stage, I'm going to be presenting something, and then I'm going to forget my lines. How am I going to get this problem solved? I'm going to hear the cheers and the encouragement from my friends and my teachers, and maybe one of my teachers is going to mouth the words of the next line of my script to me so that I'm able to remember and continue with my performance and keep the performance going. And finally, here, in the conclusion, I'm going to receive some kind of an award or some kind of praise, and then I'm going to reflect on a school value, okay? There's going to be some kind of value. By the way, what kind of value would enable you to overcome a problem of this kind? Let's say overcoming stage fright. What kind of value would I be demonstrating? Joshua, you raised your hand first. Can you tell us what you think it is?
Resilience.
Resilience, thank you. So, because Kayla comes from the prestigious Sinmin Primary School and she has learned very thoroughly the 5 school core values of care, respect, resilience, responsibility, and integrity, she's going to be able to demonstrate the quality of resilience, okay, at the end of the story to encapsulate the school value, okay, to display or manifest the school value to her peers, okay? So let's come back here. By the way, am I still lagging? Is the connection laggy? No? All good? Okay, thank you very much. I'm not really sure why it was lagging just now, but I thank you for your patience, right? I just needed to check whether Mrs. Pang was using the network and whether that was causing some problems. Okay, so you're all good? You're following with me so far? Okay, excellent. Oh, it could also be that there are more of us, right? Yeah, there are close to 60 of us. Normally, we only have about 36 to 37 people, right? So we have almost double the number of people today. That could be the reason why, okay? Thank you all for your patience. Pei Wen, did you raise your hand? No? Okay, then let's continue. So let's come back to Kayla, right? Kayla was a humorous and quirky primary 5 student studying at the famous and prestigious Sinmin Primary School. Okay? On the outside, Kayla was a cheerful. Okay, let's do a 3 adjective description of Kayla. Okay, I give Kayla the right to describe herself. Kayla, can you describe yourself in 3 words, please? I've already begun with the word cheerful. Can you continue, please?
Active.
Okay, right? Cheerful, comma, active, and
Fun.
fun-loving. Okay, all right, cool. I love that. Thank you. Kayla was a cheerful, active, and fun-loving girl, but inside, right? So outside, inside, contrasting, right? On the outside, she's cheerful, she's active, she's fun-loving, but on the inside, she had a deep, comma, dark secret, okay? So notice I'm using alliteration, deep, dark secret, okay, to emphasize and draw attention to the fact that Kayla is actually hiding something. And just to test that you're all awake, what is Kayla's deep, dark secret that is going to be tied to what we are writing today? Raise your hands and tell me what's a deep, dark secret, please. Reagan, go ahead. Reagan, hurry up.
She has a stage.
Okay, yes. She suffered from acute agoraphobia or stage fright. Exclamation mark. Okay, so that's my introduction, right? I've just introduced my character, and I've introduced in a way the setting, because the setting is going to be in Sim Lim Primary School. I've given you some idea about what kind of a school it is, right? It's prestigious, right? It's famous, so probably, you know, the pressure is quite high for the students to perform in a certain way. And then I've introduced my character, right? On the outside, she's cheerful, she's active, she's humorous, she's quirky, she's fun-loving. Okay, but inside, she had a deep. Hello, did it bounce again, everybody? What happened? Did the screen go black? Yeah, okay. Hold on. Uh, okay, give me a minute. Let me try to fix things. Right, give me a minute, okay? Please stay on. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to try again, okay? And if it happens one more time, then I'll see what we need to do, all right? Okay, let me share my screen one more time. Okay, right. So now let's try to look at it from starting in the middle, okay? So I've just introduced my character, right? I've just given you some insights, the who, what, when, where, why, how of the character and the setting. So now I'll try to start in the middle of the story instead, okay? So in this case, I'm going to start at the point where this problem arises, okay? So I'm going to start with dialogue, okay? Okay, so why do I start with dialogue? Because dialogue is able to draw me directly into the action. And in this case, it's a speech, right? Some of you might be asking me, but Kayla is a girl, and the picture that is given to me in the passage is a boy. Can I change the gender of the person in the picture? Yes, I can. I can even change some elements of it as long as the main idea is the same. So it can be a boy or a girl, it can be one person, or it can even be a group of people performing, right? It does not matter. There is no problems with changing some elements of the picture as long as it's still about a performance. Okay, so for example, you might want to write about readers' theatre where you have a group of students performing on stage instead of this one person. That works as well. Okay, so you can selectively change some elements. You don't have to be very strict about it, and teachers will not penalize you. Okay, for example, if it's a gift, it can be, you know, an electronic, it can be, you know, a book, it can be anything that qualifies as a gift, right? So you can change the element around. So now I'm starting with dialogue because I want to draw my reader into the action, and the action here is the speech, right? That this particular person, in this case, Kayla, is giving, right? And now Kayla is about to lose her place or forget her lines, right? Along okay? Okay, you will remember beat red, right, with embarrassment, right? We can reuse many of these expressions, right, that I've given to you in that booklet of stock phrases and descriptions. We can use them in different situations. So in this case, okay, right, so this is my second version. All right, please take a look and compare the two. Can you see that the character remains the same and is consistent, right? But in the second paragraph, have I told you that she, is suffering from stage fright? Did I tell you that she's suffering from stage fright? No. But can you see that she's suffering from stage fright? Right? So I'm using show not tell, right? I'm not telling you that she has stage fright. So in the first example, I'm telling you, right? I'm telling you that she has a deep dark secret, and that secret is stage fright. In the second example, I'm not telling you, I'm showing you from her actions and her reactions in the midst of her presentation. So can you see this is more advanced, right? Because show not tell, right? I'm not telling you, I'm trying to give you clues that allow you as the reader to infer that Kayla is suffering from acute stage fright, okay, or agoraphobia. And then I can always mention that later when I talk about how she deals with it, okay? So between the two, I would say that the second example is more advanced. If you're able to start in the middle and you're able to bring the character and show what are some of the features of the character, it does give you a more compelling introduction. Whereas the first version is very safe, right? It's very good in the sense that it provides you with the who, what, when, where, why, how. It gives you a good beginning to your story. There's nothing wrong with it, okay? So it depends on whether you feel like you want to go the safer route, which is a standard introduction of the character or the setting, or you want to go with a more adventurous but also more exciting route, which is to start with dialogue, okay? For those of you who are a bit more safety minded, you might want to use the introduction on the left, okay? Why? Because in the exam, you don't want to take risks, right? You want to come up with a safe outcome. Then I would say the left-hand side is for you. If, on the other hand, you're a very confident writer, you have very good turns of phrases, you have good vocabulary and structures, then you might want to go with something a little bit more ambitious, which is the right-hand side. Okay? I'm sorry, Renelle, can you help me admit Singmong, please? Thank you very much. Okay, are we all good, everybody? All clear so far? Okay, so this is my introduction. This is my introduction. And I'm now, well, in a way, on the right-hand side, this is not really the introduction. It's more of like the problem, right? But I'm using the problem as the introduction. Okay, so now I'm ready to go into, on the left-hand side, the problem appearing, right? Okay. How is Kayla going to be put in this situation? Okay, what might have happened to cause her to participate in this presentation or this performance? We must first decide. In the case of the picture, it does look more like a presentation, doesn't it? Right? He's holding a piece of paper. He's standing in front of a microphone. It looks more like a presentation than a performance, right? So might we want Kayla to be a prefect who's presenting a piece of information to the school? Would that be plausible? More plausible? Can you all remember very recently the prefects presented something, right? I think some prefects from 4A presented some information to us. Can anybody remember what they presented to us? Titus, what did they present to us?
Our suggestions.
Okay. The Seminite, what's that called again?
Oh yes.
Mengxuan, what's it called?
We Hear You Seminites.
We Hear You Seminites, right? Yeah, thank you. So maybe we can use that as an example. Okay. Maybe our dear prefect Kayla, our dear primary 5 student Kayla is a prefect. Okay, and maybe she has been chosen to present the results of the We Hear You Seminite survey. Okay, again, can you see why I'm situating this in Simin Primary School? Can you see why? Because then I can now talk about We Hear You Seminites, right? Because that's something that actually happened, and we can use real world situations to weave them into our stories. We don't have to come up with something totally from scratch. Okay, so in the second paragraph of the first start at the beginning, I'm going to bring this in, okay? Okay, so remember, we don't just use dialogue for random things like, hey, have you had breakfast yet? Or boo boo, or like have you brushed your teeth, right? We don't introduce random useless dialogue. Dialogue must always reveal something about the story that's going ahead. They must reveal the character or the story. So in this case, it's going to progress the story, right? Someone's going to tell Kayla that she's been chosen, okay? Okay, Kayla's best friend, Helen, slapped her on the back and chuckled as she announced the good news to Kayla. To her, right? Sorry, because I already mentioned it's Kayla's best friend, right? Okay, to her. Okay, so notice that I'm using another character to announce the news, right? I hope you don't mind, Helen. Is it okay? Yeah, since you are appearing right on top, so I just use your name. So Kayla's best friend, Helen, slapped her on the back and chuckled as she announced the good news to her. So good news is going to be in open, close, inverted commas, but you don't need to do that because it's not going to be good news for Kayla, right? Okay, but does Helen know that Kayla has the fear of public speaking? Everybody, does she know? Does Helen know Kayla's secret? No. Because remember, it's a deep, dark secret, right, Ian? Right? It's a deep, dark secret. And so nobody knows about it, not even Kayla's best friend, Helen, right? So Helen thinks that she's announcing good news to Kayla, right? She thinks that Kayla is going to be over the moon and she's going to be thrilled about being able to stand and present and have such a good profile, to become famous, right, in front of the entire school. She thinks she's doing Kayla a favor, but that's not going to be the case, right? Would someone like to describe to me what you think Kayla's reaction is going to be when she hears this news from her best friend Helen? Isaac, what do you think? Can you give us some suggestions on how you think that Kayla might react?
Oh, sorry, Mr. Pang, I didn't raise my hand. I was scratching my head.
I know, but I want you to answer nonetheless. Yeah, go ahead.
Shock.
Yeah, so try to describe it with as good a phrase or vocabulary as you can. Maybe use a simile, a metaphor, or any of the literary devices that we've learned so far. I'll let you think about it for a minute. Okay? But I want you to answer. Then I'll let the others who raise their hands answer as well. Okay?
Her face turned white with shock.
Okay? She turned as white as a sheet. Remember, as white as a sheet is a simile, right? Okay, so I'm going to let the rest of you chime in. Okay, give me a minute, right? Kayla turned as white as a sheet. Remember, this is a simile, right? And using expressions like similes and metaphors are good language features to include in your story, as a sheet. And I can use the tree pattern, the rule of three pattern of adjectives here. Okay, so she turned as white as a sheet. Okay, Anand, would you like to contribute to this?
I thought of she stood rooted to the ground.
Okay, we've already used that earlier, right? Oh no, actually no. That was in the alternative one. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay. She stood rooted to the spot, right? So she was paralyzed with shock, right? And okay, Pei Wen.
Her jaw dropped.
And her jaw dropped. In absolute, what is she feeling? Not shock, worse than shock. What's the word that's worse than shock? Okay, Tinker?
Horror.
Horror? Brennan, was it the same word you had in mind? Brennan? Brennan, are you there?
Yeah, it was the same word.
It was the same word. Okay, in absolute horror. Okay, thank you. Okay, Martin, yes?
Paralyzed with fear.
Okay, so rooted to the spot and paralyzed with fear are similar. So I'm just going to not use paralyzed with fear and use rooted to the spot for now. Is that okay? Right? So either one of them works, right? So you want to talk about how she turned a different color, then her whole body froze, and then her jaw dropped. Okay? So can you see I'm using the rule of three? Okay, I try to string up three different descriptions of different things like her color, her facial expression, her bodily language, and then her ultimate feeling, right? So I'm showing, not telling, again, the absolute fear, okay? She could not refuse, right? Because Mrs. Su, the discipline mistress, had assigned her to do this, okay? Why is this important? Because I want to make sure that there's no way that Kayla can escape from this experience, right? So she has to face it, right? She has no choice. She's got to do it, okay? So can you all see so far how the story is developing, right? I would say that after 2 paragraphs, I'm roughly at about 120 words, thereabouts, okay? I'm halfway through the story. So how long is my story going to be? About 250 words, okay? Between 250 to 300 words is the sweet spot when we are writing a story in the exams. Try not to write too long, because if you write too long, you might not have enough time to finish your story or check your story. So try to balance your story out. Don't go too far in any one paragraph. measure your paragraph to make sure that it's, within between 7 to 8 lines, okay? Try not to exceed that length for each of the 5 paragraphs, assuming you're following the Story Mountain paragraph by paragraph, right? Sorry, Andrea, do you raise your hand?
I accidentally pressed.
Okay, you wanted to thumbs up, is it? Okay, no problem. Yeah. Okay, so so far so good, right? Okay. Are you all okay if I just develop the left-hand side? Because if I keep developing left and right-hand side, I think I'm gonna take twice as long. Okay. I'm only going to show you the introduction for starting in the middle, okay? But if y'all are interested, I will write out the full story later for y'all on the right-hand side. But I'll just follow the left-hand side through. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, because otherwise it's going to take too long and then you won't be able to see the flow of the story. Okay, so we're going to work just on the left hand side and I'm going to finish the story on the left. Then later on, right, I'm going to finish up the story on the right and I'll send it out to you all as well. Okay, just to see in parallel how I would develop such a story. Okay, so now I finished with the second paragraph. And remember, the second paragraph is the rising action. That's when the problem manifests itself, right? So in this case, the problem is that Kayla has just been assigned to present and nobody knows that she's afraid of presenting. She's afraid of public speaking. So problem appears in paragraph 2. Nice. Now, in the third paragraph, the problem is about to get worse, right? She is about to present on stage, right? And then she's about to meet the same problem that we see here in the right-hand side. Okay, when we start in the middle, we're going to use the same content that we developed on the right in our climax here on the left. Okay, so I don't waste any material, I just recycle it. Okay, now let's go to the next paragraph. The next day dawned bright and cheery, but Kayla was... Okay, so I want to describe her anxiety and her worry. I want to use a metaphor, a simile, an expression, a description to show the internal thoughts. And then later I'm going to use an internal thought. Would anybody like to suggest an expression that will be good to describe how Kayla is feeling at this point in time as she's preparing to go up on stage? Anyone? Otherwise, I'm going to start calling people. Okay. All right. Would someone from 4A like to volunteer? Okay, who do I have? Oh, okay, never mind. Dylan, my dear, would you like to try?
Her palms were sweaty.
Okay, before the palms were sweaty, can you give me something else? I will include the palms were sweaty. Okay, good. I think that's great. Okay. What would you do with your body? Because I have the word was already. I don't want to erase the word was. Can I use the word was to write something before I go into the palms being sweaty? Claire Lee. Oh, are you there, Claire?
Yeah,
Okay, yep. Go ahead.
body trembled with fear.
Okay, Kayla was trembling with fear. Okay. Okay, thank you. Her palms were sweaty. All right, because Dylan gave us that. And, okay, finish me off with one last expression of extreme anxiety, fear, and worry, just to emphasize how scared Kayla is of the experience. Eriksha?
She looked like she's seen a ghost.
Okay, and she looked like she had seen a ghost. Okay, all right, thank you. So extreme anxiety, full of fear, as she made her way up on stage, okay, because she's presenting, right? Okay. Her knees were knocking against each other. And her body quivered. Okay, so she's shaking, she's shivering, she's quivering, her knees are shaking, right? Her palms are sweaty, right? And she looks like she's seen a ghost. Okay, I think that's good enough, right? She's completely consumed with fear, right? As she raised her voice to speak, her mind went completely blank. Okay, so this is a metaphor, right? It's like the mind becomes a blank piece of paper. Everything that she had memorized, right, vanished. Okay, all of what she had worked so hard to remember vanished into thin air. All right. Now, what can you describe what she's going to try to do now? Right? What's she going to try to do? Arthur?
She's gonna try to remember her lines.
So how would you describe, you know, when you don't know what to say and then you try to force yourself to say something? What is that? What is that verb or action? I'm going to give Arthur a chance to answer that. Can you give me what you would write? She? Arthur?
She started.
Okay, thank you. She stuttered and stammered, okay, because I want to use two different words to describe what she's doing, right? She stuttered and stammered. Okay, good, 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 very good. Tinker? I think Tinker's connection is a little bit weak. Okay. Kayla, did you raise your hand? Go ahead. What happened after she started? Okay, okay, very good. And racked her brains. Very good. Right? She stuttered, she stammered, she racked her brains. Okay, but did anything come out? No, right? Nothing came out of her mouth. Okay? So she's completely frozen. She's stuttering, she's stammering, she's getting more and more embarrassed. Okay? So I'm going to use the face turn beet red, right? From what I did on the right-hand side, right? Her face turned beet red. So this is a good expression, beet red with embarrassment. Be sure you spell embarrassment properly, EMBARRASSMENT, double R and double S, right? Beet red with embarrassment as she stared out at the silent crowd, right? So everybody is silent because they are waiting for her to share what she has to say, right? So that's it. That's the end of my climax. And again here, very nice. I have presented the problem getting worse, right? She is forced to present the her findings. That's problem number one. Okay, and in the midst of presenting her findings, what happens to her? She forgets her lines, and that's problem number two. It gets worse. Problem gets worse. Okay, so now we are going to try to solve this problem. So can you see how I'm advancing through? Okay, can you see how I'm showing the emotions of the character? I'm describing the location, the crowd that's in front of her. Can you see delta being applied here? Right, everybody, can you all see delta being applied here? Okay, I have dialogue, I have emotions, I am describing the location, right? She's also thinking to herself, her mind is completely blank, she can't think of anything. That's also her thoughts, right? That's her thoughts, okay? And then her actions, what does she try to do? She stammers, she racks her brains, she tries to move her mouth, but nothing comes out. Delta. Can you all see delta at work here, everybody? Okay, so what am I doing? I'm trying to work in elements of delta. I'm using Story Mountain as a structure, and I'm trying to remember all the similes, the metaphors, the good words and phrases that I've been taught to describe clearly. Okay? Dylan, are you following along? Dylan, can you hear me? Are you following along? Because you seem to be mouthing something. Do you have a question? Okay. Please try not to get distracted in the course of the lesson. Okay? If you have any questions, please ask me so that I can clarify the doubts with you. There's no need for you to remain silent. Huh? So are we following so far? We are 3/4 of the way through already, because usually the conclusion and the solution are very short. Okay, they aren't very long. Yes, Kayla, what is it?
What's the word beside the word all of? How do you spell the word next to the word all of?
Which line is it, my dear?
8.
Oh, okay. All of what she had worked so hard to remember vanished into thin air. Okay, I'm sorry, my handwriting is a little bit unclear. I apologize for that. Okay, all of what she had worked so hard to remember vanished into thin air. Okay, yeah. Does that clarify for you? Okay, thank you. Yeah. If you have any questions, please stop me. Okay, then I can explain to you all what's going on. I apologize for my handwriting. I'm trying to write as quickly as possible. Cognizant also of the time, because we are 5 minutes past 4. Okay, and I'm trying to finish this as quickly as I can. But I apologize because of all the technical difficulties we've been facing. There have been some delays. Okay, so I ask for a few more minutes. All right. Okay, then we can finish this off. Okay, so now we are at the most nerve-wracking moment of the story, right? It's literally the climax is when she's undergoing maximum embarrassment, right? And she's undergoing maximum stress. The character is not in a good place, right? She's feeling the stress of the moment. So this is where we have to solve the problem. This is where we have to get someone to rescue her or help her to rescue herself from this situation, okay? So who might be the person who breaks the ice and moves the story forward? Okay. Arthur?
Helen.
Okay, right. Okay, good, right. All of a sudden, okay, a loud voice rang out from the audience. Okay, all of a sudden, right, unexpectedly, everybody is very quiet, right? Silent crowd, right? Everybody is hushed and waiting for Kayla to speak. Suddenly, a voice rings out from among the audience members, right? Okay, what do you think this voice is going to say? What do you think is going to be loudly announced? Anybody wants to suggest what? This, of course, is going to be Helen, right? What do you think Helen is going to yell out to everybody? Isaac, what do you think?
Kayla, you can do this.
Okay, right, very good. Kayla, you can do this. Okay, Helen's voice, okay, is going to break Kayla out of the paralysis, right? She's paralyzed, right? She doesn't know what to do, but Helen's voice is going to break her out of that. Broke the spell. Okay, so it's like a spell, right? That's been cast over her. Broke the spell over Kayla. And suddenly, she could remember what she had to say. Okay, it's a miracle. Helen's voice and her encouragement breaks Kayla out of her paralysis, and she can now remember. So this is her moment of overcoming the fear. So it's not just about what Helen says. You can't just leave the story like that, right? Because it's about overcoming fear, right? It's about overcoming stage fright. So who has to overcome the stage fright? Is it Kayla or is it Helen? Which one is it? Who has to overcome it? Right? Martin, who has to overcome?
Kayla.
Kayla, right? Yes. Joshua, do you agree? Right? Yeah. It has to be Kayla. So Helen starts the process, but Kayla must finish it. Okay, we cannot stop the story here and say, then Kayla presented and then everything all ended well. Cannot. I must show Kayla's internal thoughts and her emotions when she hears her friend yell out her name, right? Yes, I can do this. Okay, Kayla gritted her teeth, right? Because I'm talking about resilience here, right? Resilience. Yes, Zanel, did you raise your hand? Zanel, did you raise your hand? Hello, Zanel, are you there? Okay, squaring her shoulders. Okay, this is what you do when you force yourself to do something you don't like to do, right? You square your shoulders. Have you heard of this expression before? Yeah, squaring her shoulders. She leaned in towards the mic. Okay. And delivered her speech. Her voice grew firmer and more confident, right? So I want to show you how she's overcoming her fear bit by bit, right? So at first her voice is trembling, but it grows firmer and more confident with each passing second. Okay? So remember, I don't want to just say that she delivered her speech. That's a summary. That's the worst thing you can do. Don't summarize, break it up and give step-by-step account of how she delivered the speech. Okay? The how is very important. With each passing second. Again, here, I've used internal thoughts. I've used actions, right? Delta. Delta is very clear here. I've used dialogue. Okay? I've showed you her emotions. Okay? Delta is at work here. I'm using delta to make sure my paragraph is populated with dialogue, emotions, descriptions of the location and the setting around her, the thoughts and the actions of the character. Okay? With each passing second, right? When she concluded her speech, she was met with a thunderous ovation. Okay? Led by her best friend. So her best friend was clapping the loudest, right? Led by her best friend, Helen. Okay? So that's the end of my second last paragraph. And here in the solution, I have solved the problem. Okay, she has overcome her fear of stage fright. Do you all agree with me? Has she overcome? Is there anything left to be done here? No, right? Okay, so I'm ready to go into my last and concluding paragraph, which can be very short, where I link it to a school value. Remember, like oral, right? Whenever we talk about something happening, we always link it to some kind of a value or lesson or moral learn, because everything happens for a reason, right? All stories are told to teach us something. So in this case, the story of Kayla overcoming her fear of public speaking and the support that her friends give to her teaches us an important story lesson. And the lesson could be resilience, it could be friendship, the power of friendship, okay? But all of that has to do with overcoming that fear. And it must come back to that. So you must allow the theme to appear again in the last paragraph, just to remind the teacher that you have been relevant to the theme all throughout all 5 paragraphs. Okay, so again, paragraph 1, introduction. I talk about Kayla. I talk about her secret. I talk about the setting being in school. Paragraph 2, I talk about how the problem appears. Kayla's fear of public speaking come to life when she's assigned with the presentation. Then in paragraph 3, the problem gets even worse because as she presents, she forgets her script and speech and she's in a pickle. she is frozen and she can't move forward. Okay, and then paragraph 4, the solution, somebody breaks her out of this tableau, this frozen moment, and this person, of course, is fittingly her best friend Helen, who shouts at her, you know, you can do this, Kayla. And then Kayla herself agrees, right? In her mind, she thinks, right? Yes, I can do this. It's an internal thought. Notice there's no dialogue or speech markers because it's an internal thought. You only use speech markers when you're saying it out loud. Okay, so no open, close, inverted commas. Kayla gritted her teeth and told herself, squaring her shoulders. So I'm showing you her actions, all of her actions, right? Her thoughts lead to actions, and then the actions lead again to the solution to the problem. Okay, all good, huh? So she's very confident. She gets better and better as she presents, and when she ends, everybody gives her a standing ovation. That is the reward that she gets. That's the recognition. All good so far, everybody? Are you all following along with me? This is a story you all can build yourselves, right? It's quite simple. It follows a very clear narrative arc. This is the safe story. Remember, this is the safe story. Okay, nobody can fault you for this story. Okay, and finally, in the last paragraph, okay, that day. Okay, usually I will use that day because I want to mark this as a memorable day in the life of Kayla, right? Kayla's memorable experience. So that day is a good way to introduce the fact that it's a special day for Kayla. She'll never forget it. Okay, so that day, Kayla learned the importance of resilience in overcoming. Okay, so I'm giving you the value, the fear of public speaking she had always had. Okay, but that's not the end, huh? So she learned the importance of resilience in overcoming the fear of public speaking. Overcoming the fear of public speaking is meeting the theme. So I always include the theme here. But then I also want to introduce the idea of the power of friendship, right? She also realized the power of friendship. Without Helen's support, she could never have overcome her fear. Helen and Kayla continued to be the best of friends. Okay, that's it. End of the story. All good, everybody? Okay, I would guess that it's probably about 300 words. I would guess. I haven't counted it, but I'm estimating maybe about 280 to 300 words is probably the length of this story. And I want you to take note of how, again, the story follows a clear story mountain arc, right? Each paragraph has elements of delta in it. And if you watch the videos I posted, right, on writing compelling conclusions, on writing interesting introductions, on building a compelling climax, right? All of the elements of that have been folded into this story. So I'm trying to bring everything we've covered in the course of this last year, or in the case of my dear P4s, the last 2 years, right, all together into one composition. And I hope after you look at what I wrote, you all realize that this is something you can do the same yourselves. Okay, maybe not with the same degree of complexity, but simply following the flow of the narrative, you'll be able to build something as compelling as this. Are you okay so far? Do you have any questions about what I've shown you? Okay, if not, right, then I don't want to keep you for too long. We've almost 1.5 hours on Zoom already, and I want you all to have an eye break after this, okay? But I will write out the second composition just to refresh your memory, this one here, okay? I will send out this document, right, with the completed second version of the same story to show you how starting in the middle can create a much more dynamic and interesting storyline than if I were to just follow the introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, conclusion model. That's the standard model, okay? But to make a story outstanding, I could start in the middle instead of starting at the beginning, and that draws the readers in. Okay, so I will work on that and I will finish writing it. But I recognize that it's been a very long day and I apologize for holding y'all back during Children's Day, okay, everybody? I appreciate y'all making the effort to join me and I'm really very thankful for your hard work. I will not hold you back any longer. If you wish to go, you may go, but I will continue to finish up the second composition, right? And y'all are welcome to stay behind and watch me as I talk to myself and talk my way through the second version of this composition, okay? But if not, please go. Enjoy your Children's Day, okay? Goodbye. If you have any questions, please stay behind, okay? Otherwise, no questions, you can go, all right? Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody. Bye.
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 Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Pan.
Namaste.
No
Bye-bye.
problem. My pleasure. Thank you for taking time
Namaste.
out.
Bye.
Bye.
We
Have a
like
good
to
dinner.
exams.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Renelle, for helping me with the admission of the people and the administration. Okay. Yichen, did you just join in or were you with us all the way? Okay, all right.
I joined in at like 3 something.
Okay.
I
All right.
forgot.
If you missed the earlier part, then you go and watch the video, okay? Right. Hopefully nothing has been interrupted, okay? So, all right. So, don't mind me. I'm just going to talk to myself. Y'all can leave at any time, okay? Right. I'm just going to finish writing this section of the story. Okay. So, just now, we went through a conventional, normal building of a story. And to be very frank with all of you who are still watching or who watch this as a video later, the normal story is good enough to get you within the top band for both content and language. But you know, for the rare individuals who want to get like full marks for their composition, right? You want to chase the unicorn that is full marks for composition. If you want to chase that unicorn, then you can't do the conventional. Because imagine the teacher reading the same Story Mountain for thousands of students. Remember, your teachers are going to be marking your PSLE scripts and they'll be marking scripts from students across Singapore, hundreds of scripts writing the same story. Fatigue and boredom is going to set in. So how do you break out of that to achieve a script that is outstanding and that is worthy of the full mark range? You need to use a different pattern. And that's kind of where starting in the middle of the story may possibly help you, because much fewer students will use this route. It's difficult, as y'all can see, how to manage introducing the character and the character's emotions without saying. You have to do a lot of show not tell. How to order your story so that you don't lose any major parts because you reshuffle it. That requires a lot of organization and skill. How not to overwrite certain sections. That requires high language ability. Okay, so this is not for everyone. And I would say that if you try this, do so with caution. Try to do this in class first. Get your teachers to comment on what you're doing. And then, you know, if you think that you are capable of doing this regularly, then do this in exam. Don't try this in the exam for the first time. You get what I'm trying to say? This is not something you try for the first time and hope for the best, because things could go horribly wrong. And you don't want it to go wrong in an exam. If it goes horribly wrong in class, no big deal. You don't lose anything, okay? So I'm going to show you how to continue here. In my story, right, I talked about how my name is Kayla, and then I'm in the middle of the speech, right? And then there's a long, painful pause, right? Nothing happens. Kayla, right, is in front of the school, rooted to the spot, and she's turning beet red with embarrassment. Now I have to flash back to the beginning of the day, right? The events that led her to this particular scenario. Because over here, you will notice that I put a little sentence that says, Kayla could not help but regret the events that had led her onto this stage, which means I'm about to go back to the events that led her onto this stage. And then I'm going to end the story there. So notice I'm rearranging the Story Mountain. Now the peak has come down to the bottom, and now the bottom is going up to the peak. Okay, so I'm shifting the mountain around. That's very, very difficult. Okay, so now let me move on to the next paragraph. Okay, Kayla was a bubbly, active, and precocious student from the prestigious and famous Sinmin Primary School. A prefect and a student leader Kayla was also a responsible and respected role model for many of her juniors. Okay, so I'm setting up Kayla to look like as if she's invincible, right? That she's amazing, that kind of everybody looks up to her, right? But beneath this facade, beneath this face of someone who is well-liked and respectable and a student leader and confident, right? There is an inner secret, a weakness, right? Kayla is afraid, right? Kayla has agoraphobia, right? However, beneath this facade, okay, a face, this facade, okay, Kayla hid a deep, dark secret. Okay, then I'm going to use a short sentence, agoraphobia, just one word, okay, agoraphobia. Just one word, agoraphobia, full stop, to emphasize that this is the condition that is the worst, right? It's her biggest weakness, right? It was Kayla's, okay? And I'm going to teach you an expression here. A weakness that leads to the downfall of a very strong person is called an Achilles heel. Okay, have you heard of it before? Have you heard of an Achilles heel before? An Achilles heel, Achilles is a very famous Greek hero, right? And the legend has it that when he was born, his parents took him by his feet and dipped him into this like river, and every part of his body that was dipped into the river, right, became invincible. Like even like spears and swords couldn't pierce it. He became like totally invincible. Arrows that were shot against him would just bounce off his skin, right? But the 2 points where his parents held his ankles were his weakness, because they held him by his ankles, right? So that part of his body did not go into the river, was not dipped into the river. So the part behind your ankle, you feel that part behind your ankle, there's a little strip, right? It's like a little tendon behind your ankle. Can you feel it? That little tendon? Yeah. So that is called the Achilles heel. And legend has it that Achilles went to battle and he defeated everybody around him until one day, one of his enemies found the secret. And so they shot an arrow, and the arrow pierced him in that weak point. And then just that one arrow, because the arrow had poison, caused him to fall down in battle, and then he was defeated, and then he died. So when you say Achilles heel, you are talking about a weakness that can cause somebody very strong to collapse and fail. That's called an Achilles heel, okay? So this secret agoraphobia is the Achilles heel of Kayla, okay? Yes, Andrea, do you raise your hand?
If you put Achilles heel, do you have to put them both capital letter?
Yes. Okay, because it is an actual proper noun. It's a special story, it's a legend. You're referring to it. Like Pandora's box. Have you heard of Pandora's box? Ayo, y'all never read Greek mythology, huh? Pandora. You don't know Pandora? Okay, Pandora is the god or the goddess of curiosity. So the legend has it, right, that Pandora had a box, right? And then, right, this box could, or rather, it wasn't that Pandora had a box, okay? There was a box, okay? And then the king of the underworld, right, Hades, the king of the underworld in the Greek mythology, his name is Hades. Hades kept all the demons locked up in this box, okay? And then he kept the key on his body because he didn't want the demons to escape, right? To cause the people on Earth to suffer. So he locked them away in a box. But there was this lady called Pandora who was very curious. She was curious about everything. One day she wandered into the room where Hades kept this box, and she saw the box, and she realized that it could only be opened with the key that Hades was carrying around with him. So while Hades was sleeping, she stole the key and she opened the box. And when she opened the box, can you imagine what happened? Okay, all the demons escaped from the box and flew out into the world. And that's why you have disease and suffering and pain and fear. Those were all demons that she released. But at the bottom of the box, right, there was one tiny, bright little thing that was called hope. So the last thing that escaped from the box was hope, right? So that's why even in the world when there's a lot of suffering, right, this legend tells us that Pandora also released hope into the world. So all is not lost. But Pandora's box always means that you release something you shouldn't release. Your curiosity caused something which should not be open to be open. It's a bad thing. Have you heard of curiosity killed the cat? Yeah, this is the more advanced version of that. It's the same thing. Pandora's box means you open up a box you shouldn't have opened and you cause harm and damage to other people because of your curiosity. Curiosity killed the cat. So when you say Pandora's box, you have to capitalize P and you have to capitalize B. Okay, Pandora's box. That's another very famous Greek legend that is often used in English, right? She opened Pandora's box, right? When she asked the question she should not have asked in the meeting, she opened Pandora's box. Can you get it? Right? So that means that she asked something and she opened or released something that she should not have released. Okay? So that's a bad thing. So in this case, it was Kayla's Achilles heel, right? What is her Achilles heel? Agoraphobia. That is her Achilles heel. Underneath her face of confidence and, likability and leadership, there was this deep, dark weakness that she held, which was her agoraphobia. Okay?
Mr. Pan,
Yeah.
if you write like agoraphobia in the exam, right, what if the teacher don't know what it means?
Then I'll be there to explain it. Yeah, there'll be teachers who know, there'll be teachers who don't know. That's why we sit together to mark, right? So we ask each other, hey, do you know what agoraphobia means? And then Mr. Pang will be there and Mr. Pang will say, yes, I know what agoraphobia means. In fact, I taught my class this. It means a fear of public speaking. Okay, or what does claustrophobia mean? Or what does arachnophobia mean? Or what does triskaidekaphobia mean? For example, right? Do you still remember triskaidekaphobia, by the way? I thought I went through this with your triskaidekaphobia is the irrational fear of the number 13. Triskaidekaphobia is the irrational fear of the number 13. People who have triskaidekaphobia cannot press the number 13 on the lift. They have to press 14 or 12. Then they climb one floor up or climb one floor down because they cannot press the number 13. And they cannot go to the 13th floor. And they cannot, have a cake with 13 candles on it. And they cannot have like 13 people being in the room at once. Triskaidekaphobia, the unreasonable and irrational fear of the number 13. Okay, so there are many different phobias out there. You'll be quite amazed, right? There's people who are afraid of the color green. There are people who, are afraid of insects and ants. There are people who are afraid of, bright lights. Yeah, so many, many weird and wonderful fears that people can suffer from are captured under phobias. Okay, but anyway, my point being that in this case, someone will answer the question. Okay, or we will look up a dictionary to find out what agoraphobia or triskaidekaphobia or any of the other phobias mean. Okay, so use these words with confidence, but please use them correctly. Don't randomly throw in the word claustrophobia and hope for the best. You know what I mean? I don't know what's the name for agoraphobia. I'm just going to throw in claustrophobia and hope. Yi-Chen. This is recorded. It's recorded. Okay, anyway, let's move on, right? So, Kayla hit a deep, dark secret, agoraphobia. It was Kayla's Achilles heel. No one, including her best friend, Helen, knew that Kayla struggled with public speaking, okay? And one day, her worst fears came true. Okay? One day her worst fears came true, right? So can you see I'm doing foreshadowing here? I'm telling you something bad is about to happen, right? I'm telling you all the bad thing, then I'm telling you this bad thing is about to happen. Okay? The one day is going to bring us back to the events that Kayla regrets, leading her onto the stage. Okay, remember? Just now that line I highlighted. Now I'm going to explain to you how this occurred. Then I'm going to end the story in the same way that I ended the story on the left. Okay? But can you all see this is much more detailed and interesting? Okay, can you all see that the story being arranged in this way is less conventional and more interesting? Okay, yeah. All of you are girls. Where are all my boys? I'm gonna say this on the record. Boys, please, you can do better than this. Okay, anyway, yeah, I'm the boy. I represent the boys, okay? Yeah. All right, okay. And no hamsters, huh? Only human beings, huh? Yes. No hamsters to populate this Zoom call, huh? Only human beings, huh? Okay. Right. So y'all get the idea. Huh? So this is my second paragraph. And please notice over here that I'm not following the Story Mountain order, even though every element of the Story Mountain is here. I've rearranged it, right? I'm not following the progression of the Story Mountain anymore, right? And this requires a lot of skill. Not just any Tom, Dick, or Harry can do this. You need to be quite good with your organization and your language in order to pull this off seamlessly. That's my point, okay? So don't try this at home unless you are really confident about this, okay? Don't try this in the exams unless you practiced it with yourself a number of times, okay? Or you've sent me a sample and I can tell you whether you're able to pull it off or not, okay? But I think most of you, all of you here should be able to, okay? Yeah, should be able to do that if you wish to do it, okay? So then I can just transplant the entire, okay, Kayla, you've been chosen. This whole part here, right? I can borrow this entire part and bring it down to the other side, okay? Okay, this is the part where I can copy. Okay, and paste it here, okay? Okay, so does it link? Okay, one day her worst fears came true. Kayla, you've been chosen to present the results, blah, 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 blah. Okay, Kayla's best friend Helen slapped her on the back and checked. Can I fit this here? Does it work? Okay, so that works, huh? Okay, that's good. So there I have, there I have this part here. And then I can just continue my story on. Okay, this goes back here. And then this comes back down here. Okay? Can y'all see? The rest of the order follows, right? So after this, we come to the next day, dawn bright and cheery. Kayla was trembling with fear, right? And then all of a sudden, a loud voice rang out. Okay? That day, Kayla learned the importance. Okay? Everything else remains as normal. I can follow the same order, but I've changed the beginning a little bit. Can y'all see how I'm working it out, everybody? Okay? So if you compare the two side by side, okay, you can see that actually, right, this structure on the right is more interesting, okay? Because there's some suspense, right? I am like introducing Kayla without telling you who is Kayla. So I want to read on to the second and the third paragraph in the right-hand side to find out who Kayla is. But here on the left, right, I already tell you who is Kayla, right? So in a sense, there's less suspense. There's less interest value in the left-hand side than it is in the right. So I would say between the two, this is a stronger, this is less strong in terms of content, but both are equally possible to get the highest bandwidth. Do you all kind of get it? Yes? Okay. Do you need me to scroll down to let you see this? Or have you already seen it? All good, right? Okay, you all just follow the same structure, okay? Any questions? Delta, Story Mountain, compelling conclusions? Yes, Andrea?
So if you write the one on the left, you'll get less marks. And then if you write the one on the right, you'll get more marks.
No, not necessarily. But all I'm saying is that the one on the right has potential for more marks. It could very well be that some teachers just like to start the story at the beginning, in which case both will score the same marks. But if I'm a teacher and I've been bored by reading stories on the left, right, then the right-hand side will give me a variety, and that might give me the mindset to give you a higher mark because you gave me something more interesting than the left-hand side. You get what I mean? Left-hand side is very normal. Everybody's going to write the storyline like this. But right-hand side is a more unconventional approach, okay, if you wish to adopt it. Okay, so I'm not saying that left is less, right is more. I'm just saying that right is more interesting. So the potential to get a higher mark for the right-hand side piece is more. But they could potentially get both the same amount of marks, depending on the teacher as well. Because like, you know, when you're writing a story, you must understand, as an author, your audience, your readers have different tastes, correct? Not everybody likes the same stories, okay? Not everybody likes Harry Potter. Not everybody likes J.K. Rowling. Not everybody likes, what is that? Keeper of the Lost Cities, for example, okay? People have different likes and dislikes, or Rick Riordan, you know, whatever, okay? Some people don't like Greek mythology. Some people have never heard of Achilles or Pandora, right? Hello, people. Okay, never heard of them, right? And here I was thinking that everybody in the world knows who Achilles and Pandora are. But see, y'all don't know, right? Y'all don't know, right? First time y'all are hearing today. So everybody has different tastes, okay? Even teachers have different tastes and preferences. So left-hand side, safe. Right-hand side, more potential for higher score. So it depends on which path you want to follow. But both are equally good, in my opinion. If you give me the left-hand side, I could give you full marks. If you give me the right-hand side, I could give you full marks. To be honest. Right? So it's up to you. Which one do you think you're better at? Okay? But if you ask me which one is safer for exam, definitely left-hand side. You won't go wrong with the left. Okay, Ken? All right, I'm just going to stop the recording now so that we can speak more freely.